What's up, troopers? We have another battle card TFT mini. This one's another primary objective. It is bunker assault. This was, I think, this, if I remember right, this might have been the first one that was shown on like the inaugural 2.6 stream. It was certainly one of the first, and it sort of introduced us to this idea of variable scoring and all that business. It's one that is somewhat interesting because it's one that sort of motivates uh, like basically your entire army being involved in sort of the same fight. Um, and some would say that it's the one that also involves like a little bit less sort of trickery, and that it's really about, or at least a big part of it is just about, are you winning the fight against your opponent? This is maybe the one where this matters the most. Close the pocket also matters a lot, but you were pointing out before we started recording that the real fight in close the pocket doesn't tend to start until round 3 because everybody's just running the first couple of rounds. Whereas in this one, you sometimes in round 1 you can start fighting, and definitely in round 2 you're
You're
having a fight.
definitely
And
fighting.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I think that maybe a good question to start with, Mike, is that when it comes to deployment, where your territory is, I think it might be the same as the intercept transmissions territory.
It is. Yep.
It's very centralized. It's basically like the whole middle part of your board, and so you sort of have a lot of options. But like, what's the way that you think about getting this one started?
Yeah, I definitely would open with kind of a couple central middle deployments, maybe some naked troopers or maybe like a support commander in the middle of the board.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think once you can start kind of seeing how things shake out, you deploy things a little off center. Definitely want units to be close enough to score your home points, but at the end of the day, you don't want to have to be securing your home points with like a bunch of units. You're looking to get your units on their points while killing them, preferably.
Yeah.
And and so um, there are lots of good ways to do that, but you want to be keep your army kind of central so that you can kind of float. Everything's pretty close together here, and as long as you're kind of within this, I would say like this bunker assault games are kind of played on like a 3x3 that's just like in the middle of the table.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're playing recon, but with 1,000 points instead of 600. Um, and so you just kind of want to push the middle of the table and decide which bunker you're going to take based on take their weaker side away from them before you go after the stronger side, obviously. um, but um, you know put dudes in middle of table, move forward.
The first player to blow up a bunker usually wins the game, because it's a big 3 point swing,
Yep.
and it usually means that you can sort of shift to being on defense, and then as long as your opponent isn't getting like a massive secondary advantage on you, that you can just like get to 12 faster by scoring your 2 home points, which is another. This is a good place to remind folks that unlike with intercept, um, uh, and technically unlike with breakthrough, this is one where you actually like literally score your own points by hanging out on your home bunker.
Yep.
So don't get so excited to dive your opponent's weak side with all your guys that you get to the end of the round and you're like, oh, I didn't leave anybody at home, because then that's going to be one less VP that you score. It's a thing that certainly happened to me at the beginning of 2.6, and I learned a harsh lesson from it, and I don't think I've done it again since.
Oops.
Um, yeah, it's tough, bro. And I think another good thing to keep in mind is that when it comes to the aspect of putting wounds on your opponent's bunker, so that you can score that venerated 3 point swing, you probably want to be sure that your list has a bunch of special forces, or maybe you're like a rebel list that has like two commanders and two operatives, but of course then you're probably also going to have a bunch of special forces. There are certain lists that aren't special forces heavy. There's a lot of battle forces, in fact, that have a very hard time putting special forces in there, such as Blizzard Force. Even though it may seem attractive to play bunker assault because you can, slap those e-webs down and just like use prepared positions to shoot at them, it might actually be a little bit rough if Vader is like literally the only unit that you have that is capable of scoring 2 wounds on your opponent's bunker.
Yeah.
Just something to think about. Another random one that I'll just take the opportunity to cry about is that if you're playing Wookiee Battle Force, your melee Wookiees count as core for battle cards, which means that they actually can't score 2 wounds, which means that your chieftain and your shooting Wookiees are the only ones that can count for 2 wounds, which is not the sort of situation you want to be in. So ironically enough, Wookiee's not super great at bunker assault. But Mike, I think that this one does sort of go back to try to win the fight, because you can compare this to Breakthrough, where the two armies basically ne'er shall meet again after you deploy them, and then Intercept, where there are some units that deployed one way or the other, and they might interact with each other like at the very end of the game. On this one, pretty much like the whole of each army is interacting with each other for almost the entire game, and so this is one where if you have an army that is fairly flexible at least like making sure that you get more kill points than your opponent, that this might be an objective for you, because this is really a lot about just racking up kill points.
I think at the end of the day, this objective is not one that you are going to be able to win while losing.
Right.
Like you can do that with like intercept signals. You can do that with breakthrough. Like there are situations in a lot of these primaries where you can still come away winning the game while you're kind of losing the fight. Bunker assault is not one of them.
Right.
Bunker assault, if you are not winning the fight, you're not winning the game. So, definitely before you go in and secure the bunkers, like you got to kill their stuff first.
Yeah.
So, if it's okay if the bunker assault game goes, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2 kill points, right? Like that is an acceptable thing if you are winning the fight.
Yeah, and in that situation, it would mean you're a very shooting heavy list. And a good example of which is like an EXD that is focusing its points on both the snails and BXs, and then maybe some long range B1 guns. And there aren't actually a ton of pure shooty lists like that out there, which means that again, you're gonna need to really like squeeze every ounce of juice out of your various units to start the attrition snowball and keep it going the old-fashioned way. This is not one. This is not one where clever tricks are going to win you the game. It's one where you just gotta kind of just win the old-fashioned way. And along those lines, like these games can ramp up very quickly score-wise, especially once you start destroying your opponent's bunkers. Because like on a turn where you have both your home and you blow up your enemy's bunker, that's 5 points from the primary on one turn.
Yeah.
And that's literally almost half of the required VPs to win the game. So it can go really fast.
You can actually win a game of bunker assault without like scoring the secondary, like in theory. I wouldn't advocate for attempting to do that, but this is one of the primaries where it is very reasonable to come back from a deficit on not scoring a secondary.
Yeah. And if you really want to have just like in a real Unga Bunga game, then you can play Bunker Assault with Recon Mission, and then you're just like sort of just punching each other at that point.
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, so like to sort of recap everything, this is an objective where you want to be able to score 2 wounds on a round. And if you can't, then probably don't put this in your deck, and maybe think about avoiding it if your opponent has it. Don't forget that you score points for your own bunkers, so don't get off of them. Try to deploy in such a way that your army can help each other as much as possible, even though you will likely decide that you're going to go after one of your 2 opponent's bunkers. But you still want to stay relatively close to each other so everybody can contribute. And finally, win the fight. Easier said than done sometimes, but it's pretty darn important with this one. Is there anything else to add to all that, Mike?
I would say you got to be really careful if you have, a lot of the like pretty meta lists right now have a lot of fragile units in them, kind of like upping their activation counts. Those units are like vulnerabilities on this objective. You definitely like need to be careful on where you're putting them, because basically every unit your opponent has is going to be able to shoot as long as it can see everything in your army. Like it's going to be able to pick whichever target is best, and cutting like easy activations out of your list is something that you really need to be actively avoiding.
Not a great one for Geonosians right here.
Or like naked B1s or
Right,
naked rebel
right.
troopers, or like we see a lot of those in like the kind of high profile meta competitive lists right now.
Yep,
You need to be very careful on bunker assault with those lists.
absolutely. All right. Well, thank you to everybody for watching. If you like what we're doing here, then consider checking out our Patreon. Thank you to Jacob Camp for producing, and we'll see you in the next TFT mini.